Man, our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Hey, this is everybody. It's Lloyd Spence. And listen, you can find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the Major League Baseball is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? Man, I got the Braves, man. I feel like they're going back to back. Because BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas, casino, and poker games. It's super easy to get started. So head on to the website today and use your mobile device to join and use your promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Go on over to BetOnline. It's where the game starts. And tell them the Noisemaker says so.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. That's that popcorn make you smile. Ah. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world. to Talkin NOIZ, the daily podcast that brings you up to speed and keeps you informed about real issues affecting real people. With your host, Mr. Talkin NOIZ himself, Lloyd Spence. His beautiful wife, Mrs. NOIZ, Kenyatta Spence. The ever-informed Brother NOIZ, Alan Brown. And yours cordially, Uncle NOIZ, Shake Anderson. Come on in and join us as we reveal and opine today's most pressing issues. Real truth while having real fun. Talkin NOIZ is in your house right now. So sit back and enjoy Talkin NOIZ.
You probably need to bring your kids and they stay to open school together.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
It is hump day, but it is also Women Wednesday. And I could introduce the next guest. I feel like she's family to me. I could say some things, but her other friend is here too, and she's known her longer, so I guess I should let her introduce her.
I mean, wow.
I'm just saying I could have done it.
Noisemakers, let me introduce you and reintroduce you to
like
our friend.
Lala. I like her. You're good people. Just saying.
To our friend and Mr. NOIZ's friend.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh. And the loving wife of Mr. Will Key. The beautiful, the wonderful, the community activist, real estate goddess, Laura Key. We call her Laura.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I always feel so comfortable and welcome here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we've never had you in an official capacity before. This is exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting. And the more we educate people, the better.
Well, let's educate people about what's going on this wall. What is happening with all these mermaids and stuff on the wall? What is going on?
I am a Pisces. I lack water.
Oh, well.
And I even have a little fishing net at the top with my little sand dollars and
Oh, you got starfish and the whole nine.
Lala, when is your birthday?
February 23rd.
This is why we're so close.
Oh my
I get it
God.
now.
Water baby too, huh?
I get it now.
Yes.
We are bonded by the water.
Yes, it's something about that water that makes me
You
happy.
will never understand, Kenyatta. You're not.
You're right. You're right, because I am the earth to your water.
That's right. Gotta have that balance. And my hubby is Aries, so that's fire. So fire and water.
All right.
Wow.
I give you that, but I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay.
Carry on.
I love it. I don't know why people don't think that has something to do. God created everything, not just the earth.
Yeah.
He's created the stars, the heavens, the universe. We're all connected. So those things do have value.
I'm just saying. Listen.
Mama Noise, your microphone is doing something weird. Can you just disconnect it and put it back in? And while you do that, I want to thank you, Lala, for being with us today.
He did, so I would.
I didn't do anything. I can't make your mic not work right.
You're like, why are you fixing that? So, Lala.
Carry on. Just go. What?
Lala, we're so excited to have you here today. With all the things that's going on in real estate, there's so many questions. You have so much experience in that. What's your take on what's going on right now? Just that part right there.
We can't sustain what we're going through. One thing that you're going to get out of me is always going to be truth. I am not going to fluff it. No sale is worth lying to people to. We cannot sustain this market right now. There's so much craziness going on, overbidding, corporations buying homes and putting them back on the market for $50,000, $60,000, over asking, corporations buying them and renting them out. There was a huge article on CBS not too long ago where they showcased all these corporations buying these homes and beating out all these home buyers, and then putting it on the market for rent, and then saying, no, the American dream, now it's no longer owning, it's renting. Do you know how many people put that in their head and now they won't use this as generational wealth? So you have a lot of things going on in this industry right now that needs to be clear and straightforward. So you need to think for yourself and get educated. And that is what I have always done. I've been in this business since 2006. I teach at nonprofit organizations. I have my own course because you need to be educated whether you're buying or you're selling. Not just buyers. Sellers need to be smart too. So this market right now is quite upside down. And at some point, it's going to have to self-correct.
Well, let me ask you. So let's dispel the rumor. There are some people that's like, well, it's better to own a home. Mm-hmm. But then there are some people that's like, it's better to rent a home. Mm-hmm. What's your take on the difference?
Owning is always going to give you the power. I do not care if you own just a condo that is 600 square feet. That is how you start building your wealth. You see, the difference between renting and owning is you're paying someone else's mortgage when you're renting. You might as well, one of my favorite memes is from the Little Rascals, and one of the kids is throwing money out the window. That's basically what you're doing when you're renting. You're paying someone else and you're building their wealth. And all that money you can't really recoup. But when you own, not only do you own that little piece of land or a little plot of condo, you're building wealth because real estate always appreciates. Now we have cycles, we go up and down, but if you're in it for a long haul, you're building wealth. Perfect example. I sold a young kid, smart, started early, and this is why we need to start teaching our kids early. 21, getting ready to go to college. Dad helped him buy a condo, and it wasn't even that fancy, okay? Bought a 2-bedroom condo, rented one side out, lived in one side. Mm-hmm. By the time he got finished with college, that property had tripled in this market. He sold it and bought a home. Wow. This is your power. So don't let somebody steal your power by telling you you only can rent. I don't care if you're 92 and you all of a sudden say, I want to buy a home, but I'm too old. No, you're not. Because it's something that you can pass down to the generations.
But okay, so before I gotta go ahead. You asked a great question, and I wanted to kind of, and she gave a great answer, but I think there's probably, as they say, there's probably more meat on that bone. Okay. You said this market can't sustain where we are now. So my question would be, number one, how did we get here? and where is here? Like, where are we in? What would you call this market right now?
Okay. There are 3 types of markets. First, there is a buyer's market when there's so many houses on the market that buyers can have their pick, and they also can ask sellers for certain things before closing. The second market is what I call the gray market. That's just when we're in the middle. And this is when the seesaw starts coming. So start seeing the markets as a seesaw. So you're in the middle, and there may be enough inventory. You may still get a little something if you're buying it, and you still may get a good profit off of your home. But if it's a seller's market and you're a buyer, that means there's not that many homes. Many people are competing, and many people are going above and beyond to get that home. So we are currently in a seller's market, and we have been for a while. So what that means to a buyer is they go to put an offer on a house, there's probably about 10 other offers on that house. You got to get really creative. Okay, we're going to shorten our terms to get the house closed. And we'll talk about that too, because there's a process to buying a home. We will pay a little bit extra to you if it doesn't appraise. We may help the seller with some of their closing costs if you let us have this house. So you are basically woo, woo, woo to the seller in this market. And that's where we are today.
So a buyer in this market would essentially, if I'm hearing you correctly, would not do well. Like they would lose considerably, or could lose considerably you're not savvy. If you're not savvy.
Correct. They could if they don't have a good person helping them, if they have not taken the time to educate themselves and know their boundaries. I'm closing deals, guys. I just closed one yesterday in California, and they were a buyer. We put in 10 offers. Okay. And let me tell you, we ended up being a backup offer and ended up getting that. So my client ended up paying, because he paid $200,000 over asking for a house in Pasadena. That's what it took. However, here in Florida, I just got word right before the show that we have an accepted offer for one of my clients, and she only had to pay $10,000 over asking, but she also has a lot of concessions in there that the seller agreed to. So I'm starting to see that seesaw come down just a little bit in some areas, but don't get happy. You hear people saying, well, I'm just going to go in here in this bingo hall and I'm going to play, $5 worth. And before they come out of there, they didn't spend $125, right?
Right.
You can't do that with this market either. Know your limits. You can't just say, well, I'm going to give you $500,000 if the house is $450,000 if you don't have it. You got to learn to play the game, and there is great strategy.
But I keep hearing some homeowners, they complain about being homeowners. And, for people that are trying to anticipate whether they want to be a homeowner or continue to, as you said, throw money out the window, they just think, okay, well, one of the benefits about renting is at least I know they're responsible for a whole lot of different things, where when you're the homeowner, you're responsible for all those things.
Correct. But it has to be in your comfort zone. That is when it becomes a personal choice. I can say it is easy to rent, but you don't have the control over how much that rent's going to go up.
Right.
Your mortgage pretty much stays the same. So 10 years from now, your mortgage is going to be the same. And and that's what's happening in California and in Florida. These rents have doubled. People have had to move out. They can't afford it anymore, or they have 4 and 5 families living in one place. Sure, your landlord will take care of things, maybe. But it's what costs to you. Now, there are levels to home ownership. If you don't like yard work, get you a townhome with an HOA where they take care of that yard for you. You may pay a little bit more for an association, but you don't have those issues. And there's home warranties that you can buy to help you in case something breaks.
In a seller's market, what should an aggressive buyer, or what should a real estate person do in a seller's market? Should they be buying up homes in a seller's market? Is that a good time to get it, or is that not a good time to start buying homes?
Typically, people say don't really try to buy in a seller's market. But let's look at what's going on in the world. Inflation is at its highest that we've ever seen. Food, perfect example. A regular $100 bill that I go and buy the same thing is now $150. Okay. Yeah. So homes are going in the same direction. So it's when you're ready to dip in and when you can dip in at your level. That's the smartest play. So yes, it's a seller's market and you may have a very hard time getting a home, but with a good strategy, overall, that home is still going to appreciate. So you're always going to be looking at good money. Even if it's a bad neighborhood, sometimes the market will go down a little bit. But let me tell you something. When I moved to California, people were like, you're not going to sell in Compton, are you? I go where the people need to go, okay? Compton had his first $1 million home 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Compton is not what you think it is. So whereas that used to be where you could get an affordable home in California, in Los Angeles in particular, it's now become a regular market. You just got to know, okay, let's research the neighborhood. Let's research the resources. Let's research all this stuff, which is a good agent is going to help you do that. But it's always a good time to buy if you're planning on holding it. Now, if you're trying to flip it, like watching these shows and all this millionaire real estate stuff, nah, you got to be savvy for that. You're going to be coming in as a regular buyer. And if you can hold on to that property for at least 5 to 7 years, you will have appreciation.
Is flipping it a good idea?
Yes, a lot of people are making good money with that. If you can get into a really good and experienced flipping group and you can swallow the hardcore stuff, you can. But you got to know what you're doing, guys, because you can lose a lot of money. I have a very good investor who works with me. Him and his wife are young. They're like 26 and they have like 4 or 5 houses. And one of their houses they purchased with me. And now they've opened up to other parts of the country because California is so high. They've lost a lot of money because when they get the inspections back, some of these homes are not so good and they're not willing to put the extra money in it. So, hey, you got to be willing to risk the $5,000 to $10,000 that you laying down. But you can't only do that so many times. So flipping is not for the faint of heart.
Well, what is it that I notice that a lot of people steer clear of home ownership because they don't really understand what's expected of them. Correct. What exactly would you say is, dispel the rumors, because folks there's a fear there that says, well, I'm probably not going to qualify anyway.
That's it. Fear. Get over yourself. What are you scared about? A closed hand never gets fed. Okay? If you don't ask or know where you are, that's your first step. Your first step is, oh God, I'm scared to look at my credit. Oh God. Well, if you don't know where it is, you don't know where to start. And it's really not that scary. You may be disappointed about what it is at the beginning, but here's the good news. You can change it.
Okay.
And there are many programs that will help you change it too. That's why I work with a lot of nonprofit organizations that help with down payment, help you build your credit where you need it to be done. Mm-hmm. I have great resources for someone that can help you with their credit. You've got to be able to want to put in the work. The fear comes from society telling you, you can't. And then you get it in your head and you're like, I can't. But let me tell you something, baby. I worked with this lady in Denver for 3 years. Wow. She wasn't ready. She knew she wasn't ready. She was like, are you willing to work with me? And we got her together. And before you knew it, 3 years later, we got our house. You want something bad enough? you're going to get it. And she still owns that house to this day. I just got an email from her.
We got a question coming in from the chat. Chad says he's building a new home, and with delays with COVID and all, we already have 200 plus in equity, and the house isn't even built yet. Are you seeing a lot of that right now?
I am. And Chad, you got in at a great time, because now home builders they're able to double. I went to take a client to see a new build community last week in Jacksonville, Florida. They started out those homes a year ago priced at $275. They are now $395 and above in just a year, because the cost of inflation and also the demand for homes, because it does cost money. Look, don't just think the builders are always being greedy. They're not. They still got to pay for lumber and everything else, and that's all going up. So I'm not surprised that Chad has that. And matter of fact, I've had several people have the same thing.
This was from Sean. Ken, you want to read this one?
Sure. Oh Lord, hold on.
Get your glasses.
I saw a special on investors, foreign and domestic, are buying up a lot of houses with full cash offers, making it hard for single families to buy. Have you heard anything about this?
Facing it every single day. It's very interesting because it's also coastal. I see it so much more happening here in Florida, where these companies such as, I'm going to say what I call the bad word, Zillow, don't use it. Please stay away from it. I'll explain later. Don't.
Yeah, we gotta come back to that. Yeah.
Because I have serious things about that. Zillow,
Wow.
OfferPad, all those homes are coming in and buying up a lot of homes that need fixing up. And then they will fix them up and sell them at a higher price. But it's good and bad, guys. Most first-time buyers can't get in there and fix it up. And they can't buy it either because the loan won't let them. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of bittersweet. And yes, it's happening, but I think it's now time for the government to step in with that. I don't like government in my business. Let me tell you, I don't like them. But when things go like this, where the typical American cannot live the American dream, we have a problem. We have a problem. So yes, it is happening. I'm seeing it, but I'm also beating out some of those people too. Because let me tell you, there are some homeowners that are like, I am not, I don't care how much you offer me, I am not selling my house to a corporation. And it's because it's all a personal preference. And then you have some sellers that are like, just sell it, I don't care. But it depends on the seller.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh,
you're doing good.
How can we make you 30-year mortgage on how can you make a 30-year mortgage on an asset instead of just a liability? Make money off your mortgage.
Leverage it, babies. Leverage it. And let me tell you how to do that. When you first get into your home, my first suggestion to people is, because you're getting used to like, oh my God, I got a mortgage. What's going to happen? You got to get used to your new bills. All right. Mm-hmm. Get settled in for a couple of years and get your rhythm into that. Okay. What you need to do to help leverage that is to pay, even if it's $50 or $100 extra a month. Come on, you ain't got to go to the movies. Put the pop down. You don't need the pop. Okay. Make an extra payment to your mortgage company and put on that check. If you don't do this, it won't work. Principal payment only. Because when you first start paying your mortgage, you're paying the interest only, right? They put the interest up front. But if you say, put this toward my principal, balance start coming down, and that 30-year mortgage no longer is a 30-year mortgage. As you get closer, you're paying it off even with $50 to $100 extra a month. If you can make at least one extra payment a year, that's going to help you. Now, what do you do with that? That builds your equity, right? So now you take that little equity and go, what can I do with this? you can take that and reinvest it into another property. This is where you can get a condo to rent out because they're typically lower. Okay. Not much maintenance because there's an HOA with it. Or like in California, which they are begging people to do, build an additional dwelling unit. I like to call them granny pods because I think that's just a cute name. You just get a little, you can even order them from Amazon. I kid you not. You can get you a little granny pad to put in your backyard and rent that out. Leverage. Now you've increased the value of your home and you have rental income coming in. That's how you leverage your mortgage.
How did you get so real estate?
Over and over, though. Please don't do that. Don't refinance over and over. You're taking your equity out when you do that. Do it when you need it.
How did you become so real estate savvy?
Ooh, boy, this has been a journey. I was a secretary for many years. I had my son very early, so I didn't go to a four-year college. I went to a trade school, and I was a secretary for a very long time. And I kept losing my jobs. They were downsizing. I never got fired. Okay, I got downsized a lot. And finally, with my last job, my father-in-law said, "You tired yet?" Because he was in real estate, and my husband was also looking at some property for us as well. And I said, "What do you mean? Am I tired yet?" He said, "Why don't you just give real estate a try?" And I said, "I never sold a thing in my life." But he said, "But you have a personality and you have to drive. So I need you to try that." So in 2006, I did. Now, in 2006, this was a totally different market. We were going through a massive foreclosure thing. Every other house was a foreclosure. There were brand new communities in Denver, Colorado that were mostly foreclosures. So a lot of people that I had just got in the business with was like, don't worry about that. You don't need to learn that stuff. It ain't going to be a long cycle. Don't worry. These were people who were making money hand over fist. And here I was, new, didn't know nobody. So I said, how am I going to get into this? So I took it upon myself to learn the HUD process. HUD is Housing Urban Development. And they guarantee banks when people buy with FHA that they'll buy back the house if the person forecloses or can't pay for their home anymore. They're not in the business of keeping homes. So there was these houses, and their listing agents were only required to put one picture up. So at the time, before all these smartphones, went out and got me a cute little pink camera, went to all these houses and took all these pictures, took everything. Craigslist was big, learned everything I needed to learn about HUD, went up to the HUD office, introduced myself, took them donuts and coffee, took their class. They told me how to get my bids won. That's how I got started. But see, when you learn the good and the bad and the ugly, and you don't pretend like you know everything, that's how you get good at something.
Wow. You said a word there, Sister Cookie.
It's ugly.
Wow.
It's ugly.
Well, and then also I want to throw something else out that probably a lot of people aren't prepared to hear, but it's probably the truth. There's a certain humility that comes along with saying, I'll sell the house that's in front of me, as opposed to I will only sell this type of home because I know that, if I sell this type of home, I'll make this type of money. That's true. But also selling the house in front of you is good as well. It's not a bad thing to help somebody get in a house that doesn't have a high profit margin. You know what I mean? There's a blessing and a joy in that as well. And long term, there's a profitability in that as well. Would you agree, disagree, or?
Totally agree. I totally agree. But that's why there's niches in this realtor game. You have some agents that won't leave Beverly Hills or West Hollywood, right? That's their niche. Those are those fancy people on these TV shows, which, by the way, is all lies. Okay. I've met all three of them. They're great people, but it's all fluff. Life doesn't work like that. You have people who maybe won't sell outside of Compton because that's where they grew up and they want to help their community. Me, My niche was first-time buyers. I love to teach first-time home buyers courses. I love to help them get their first set of keys ever in their life. That's rewarding to me. But the bottom line is, I don't care if you're selling $1 million. I don't care if you're selling 500. I don't care if you're selling 50,000 because Alabama got $50,000 houses. You're still doing the same amount of work for different levels of money. So how do you decide? You have to go where your heart tells you. And my heart is helping first-time homeowners and first-time home sellers. Because once you get that house and now you're ready to leverage it, you've never sold a home before. Now what? I was on the other side the last time. So that's my niche.
You know, this information is so valuable because, you know, when my mom was a single mom and somebody connected her to a first-time homeowners program that said if she took the classes, they would walk her through getting the home. And I will never forget how emotional I felt when we walked out to the land where her house was going to be built. And it was just a bunch of sticks with the little neon orange string coming off of them. And we just walked around and prayed over the land. But more than that, to be able to she was looking at swatches and, you know, trying to, you know, what color do I want my bathroom wall? What color do I want? And it was an experience because for her to have been a first-time homeowner and having it built. I mean, I imagine there are first-time homeowners that don't get the option of it being built and being able to choose, you know, you got a great living room and all that type of stuff. But to have started from the real scratch of sticks in the ground is a big deal. So for first-time homeowners, what's the first? You said the first step is to go find a plan or a program.
No, she said the first step is to stay off Zillow.
Yes, please do that.
Why is Zillow so bad?
Zillow.
We definitely losing that Zillow deal, but go ahead.
Zillow was very, very sneaky in what they did in this world. When I first got in the market, Zillow was little bitty tiny company. Okay. And their goal was to put houses on the market for the general public to see. Okay. Then it became, we got so big, we're going to put all these houses up, and now we're going to sell you back your leads. These are your listings, but we're going to sell them back to you. Somebody's interested in this home, pay us $500 and we will give you this lead to sell your home. In the meantime, they weren't required to be brokers. They weren't required to have real estate license because that's not how they started, okay? They were supposed to be for informational purposes only. And then all of a sudden they came up with this imaginary unicorn called Zestimates. So when you go on Zillow, right, this house is worth such and such. Says who? You're taking a national average of homes instead of a specific niche and area and giving it a value. And even in the small little writing at the bottom, it says, we could be as much as $100,000 off on these values. Well, let's face it, guys, people are fickle. What they see is what they believe. If they don't know the truth, then the public is misinformed. And now Zillow has gone to the next level. And they've pretty much put an all-out attack on agents. And I have never been on board with Zillow, not even from the beginning. I pay my dues, and they ain't cheap. I belong to the National Association of Realtors, the local associations, Florida and California, and I pay my dues. My hard work needs to be protected. And Zillow took my hard work, meaning all of us agents, and created their own world where they created the rules. And the rules just don't work.
So Zillow just out here lying on people.
Yeah, I don't really care for them. And come at me if you don't like me. I don't care. Because you did it, and you know you did it, and you know you're guilty. You're no better than these other corporations, Elon Musk and all them people buying up stuff and then using it for your own pockets and powers instead of serving the public. I take an oath, guys. I'm like a doctor. when we get our license, I have to swear to an oath that I am going to serve the public. I cannot discriminate. I cannot misinform you. I cannot get you in any kind of scams. Not that people don't do it, because there's always some bad apple somewhere.
Right.
But no, Lala, she's scared of that stuff, and I'm never going to do it.
So it sounds like the first step is to find a credible realtor.
I was gonna say.
Yes. And how you do that, number one, talk to your family, talk to your friends, see who has purchased or sold something lately. Talk to them and say, I'm thinking about buying. How is your agent? And see what they say. Interview them. Don't just go with the first person, because all agents don't do the same thing. Like I said, you can go in California and say, I'd like to buy a house in Pasadena. And can you help me? Well, no, I'm sorry, ma'am. I only work, downtown LA. You have to make sure they know the areas that you are buying in. They know your needs. They are attentive to what you need. Your agent, you need to interview them. And if you don't like them, you need to be able to fire them.
So to Kieta's point, I'm a first-time buyer. I'm totally intimidated by this process. How do I interview somebody with questions I don't know? I don't know what to ask. Like, do you like purple houses or red houses? Like, I don't know what to ask. Like, what do I ask?
Google is a wonderful thing.
Okay.
I actually have a download as well in one of my classes that says what you should ask your agents. You're always welcome to ask me, and I'm one who will just help you with anything you have, whether you use me or not. But your first thing is to Google. You can Google, and you'll get all this answer for no problem. What do I ask a realtor when I'm ready to start buying a house? And they'll give you questions that you can ask them. Number one, how long have you been in the business? You don't want someone who's an absolute newbie. But if you do choose someone who's a newbie, because I was a newbie at one time, I had a mentor. Yes, I've only been in real estate for 6 months, but my mentor's been in the market for 26, and she's with me at all times. Okay, that's okay. Ask them, do they know the market? Can they help you with vendors? Can they help educate you on the process? Or are they just so quick to put you in the car and say, this one, buy? Let me give you an example. I was not in real estate in 2001. That is when my husband and I decided to purchase a home in Denver, Colorado. We didn't know anything. We actually did go to a home buyer's class, but it was after someone had told us, you should use this realtor. And we said, okay, we did. We didn't know any better. My man was horrible. He showed up at our closing. We found the house. We found the vendors. We did everything that he should have been helping us do. And then he shows up in a sweatsuit. I was like, did you just come to our closing in a sweatsuit? Because that's not okay with me. I don't need you to be in a 3-piece suit, but I don't need you to come here looking like you came out of the gym either. So out of that created how I did my business years later. So your first step, just Google what to ask your agent, or reach out to me, real easy to find. And I'll give you that list of what you need to ask them.
So you have a list of things. Is it in the books? In all the books you got? You got a lot of books.
I got a lot of books because each one serves a different purpose. I have a home seller book to help educate them. I have a home buyer's book. I also have a home buyer's course that's all on video.
Wow.
You can watch it even while you're standing at the grocery store. I have a foreclosure book, and I have a probate book.
Wow. You out of here, man.
Got to. If you don't
She's an
follow
author.
this industry, you're going to die on the vine. And my point has always been to educate people. Now, whether they want to take that education or not, because I'm going to be very serious right now. I had a doctor in LA, and he don't have much time. He didn't have time to get educated. I had to educate him as we was going along, because he was like, I don't have time. Oh, gotta go. Somebody need a surgery. So as we're doing this, you need to be able to work with someone who can work with you the way that you need to be worked with.
Wow.
Clients are always the ones who come to these classes because they know what to expect.
we had one of the guys last night asked about commercial real estate and what the market is like for commercial right now. So is it a seller's market in commercial as well?
Well, depends on where you live. Like in Los Angeles, commercial is hot right now. People are doing new businesses. Why? Because we just came through COVID and people had life changes. Okay. People no longer, once they had to deal with themselves all by themselves at home, they're like, I don't need this job. I don't have to drive in to some job take 2 hours to get to work. I'm going to open my own cupcake business. Right.
Yeah.
So the shift in what's happened in the world, wherever you are, is going to determine that market. In Los Angeles, it's hot commercial market. In Florida, I'm still seeing a lot of empty buildings, and I'm seeing a lot of people going out of business, and so that commercial comes back on the market as well. So is COVID.
So is this a good time to buy? Like you said, depending on where you are, this is a good time to buy because you should be able to get a pretty good deal on a commercial property.
I would say so.
Okay.
Looking even if it's just a little storefront. And actually, guys, there's a lot of houses. I actually just showed one not too long ago that had the house above the shop. And the little lady's like, I'm buying that because I'm going to have my hair shop downstairs and I'm going to live upstairs. And that's what she did.
I guess you could get pretty creative in this market, in a commercial property, huh?
You can, because commercial is different because you can charge several different types of ways for that property.
Well, just so happened, the question in the chat is, are there any good programs to help purchase commercial property in Louisville, Kentucky?
In Louisville, I need to check on that. There was a program that was doing that, but then during COVID, they kind of scaled back. But all you need to do is put down first-time investors course in your state, in your city, and you will find things. Now, here's a little tip. Don't go with the first page on Google.
For real.
Those people pay to be on
They pay. That's a good point.
What you want to do is go to page 2, page 3, and then you start calling people. But call a local, no joke, call a local commercial agent, and they will be able to direct you to the best programs, because not all programs are good programs. And that's for home ownership and for commercial. So yeah, commercial is possible, and commercial, because it's considered, you're buying that and it's a business, it's an investment. So you would be going the investment road and not home ownership road. So there's different rules, but yes, there are programs for that.
There's a question that I've always wanted to ask a realtor, and I think this is the appropriate and proper time to do it. We're all out here wondering what it is. We'll ask, but nobody seems to be able to give us a straight answer. But I feel like you could.
And I will.
What is escrow? Why are they so difficult to deal with?
Escrow is different in many states. Okay, so let's talk about the process. Okay, let me give you a little history to that before we get to escrow, so you know where it is in the process.
Okay.
When you first are putting the house on the market or you're buying it, you have to go through a whole process to get to the closing. In the middle of that process, you have to have a third-party company or an attorney in some states, or a company called title, that will handle all of the documentation, handle all the money, and make sure that everything is in order for that property to convey to you, Mr. Buyer, and out of the seller's name. Escrow can be very hard and frustrating because it is a lot of paperwork. You're killing trees. Okay, I don't care what people are saying about all this paperless stuff. Escrow is child support for your house. Yes.
Okay.
Anna, during this time it is, because they hold everything. Escrow's job is to make sure that everything is in order and to also protect that money. So if the money is there, like you putting your earnest money deposit down, everyone has to do this. Everyone has to have skin in the game. So example, if you're putting a house on the market and you're pricing it $500,000, typically you're going to put about 1%, 1 to 3% in escrow. That's your good faith. And it's not magic unicorn money. It ain't going nowhere. It's just going to sit there. Well, it's their job to protect it. It's also their job to help research on the property to see if there's any things that are not legal, or if someone else has an ownership to that house and someone else is trying to sell it. They're trying to give you free title, free and clear title. So it's not easy, but they're what I call they're third party. They don't work for either side. They have to work for the transaction. In California, it's called an escrow. In Florida, in Colorado, it's under contract, and that's when they step in. And in some states, such as New York and New Jersey, an attorney will step in and do those things.
So escrow is like the dude that's holding the money between two guys that's playing on a basketball court. I ain't going nowhere. But whoever win, that's who getting this money.
Yes, but they really.
There you go. Now I can explain it to the people, to the homies now.
That's right. Now, see, that's easy to remember. Just know that you can't close a deal without them. I mean, you can if you want to go to but at some point, somebody's got to step in. Don't close a deal without escrow. Because you don't know.
Right, because they're going to make sure. They're not trying to see you lose, and they're just trying to make sure it's fair.
Yeah, you don't want somebody buying a house and then 10 years later, Aunt Susie comes back and says, "Who are you? I own this house."
Yeah, I don't want that. Though Aunt Susie is a lovely lady.
Yes,
okay, so you got some more questions? And I don't know what kind of time we have. Do we have time?
I'm here as long as you need me.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, woo, woo, woo.
Well, okay. Well, since you're here as long as we need, let me do this real quick. This is the website, and I thought it was just to get the books, and because that's what she told me. I'm gonna out you right now. She said, "Well, this is the website to get the book." No, this is the website for everything. She got books here. She got contact me, free consultations, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. It's right here.
Yeah.
And you can PayPal it too. So you can just do all of it right there. So write that down. And if you got questions, you want to meet with her privately, hit her up and she'll answer all those questions like we're talking about right now. But this is the website.
What state you're in, because my network is very strong. If you were to contact me and you're in Connecticut, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Really? Wow. So you're like a mogul.
Right.
I'm going to take that and run with it.
Run with it. Run with it. This is the website, and by the way, it's one of the nicest, user-friendly websites I've ever been to. So you feel like you're being welcomed in on the website. The About page is fire. They captured your very essence in the About page. So I just wanted to throw those out there real quick. Okay. I know Cuz Noise was out there a minute ago. He said he had some questions. I'm hoping he's out there.
I don't know what REO means. I don't know if that was a question for her or because I don't know the translation.
REO means real estate owned. And that just means that a corporation or a bank took it back. It was a foreclosure. It could be a private entity that does it, or it could be a corporation, or it could be a HUD, which is the same thing. HUD repos are called REO, but they're just called HUD homes. There is a wonderful site if you just want to see HUD homes. It's called HUDhomestore.com. You can find that. HUDhomestores.com. It's real easy. You can pull it up. Let me double check myself while I'm telling people that, because you can go to any state. HUDhomestore.com, correct. You can go to any state, drop down that menu and see what homes they have in that market. Now, I'm going to tell you, some of them, woo, Lord, they need some work. But they also have some programs called the 203K loan. That is a construction loan. If you qualify, that will help you fix up those properties. And guys, this is something a lot of people don't talk about, but I do because I'm a firm believer in it. I've helped 7 people with this. It's called the Good Neighbor Next Door. You have to qualify for this program by being a teacher, a firefighter, a law enforcement person, or an EMT. And I've actually, some people are like, the sheriff's count? Yeah, you're still a law-abiding person. You can arrest people. So as long as you have arrest powers, that's considered law. And it is a strict program. But you can get the house for 50% off. I've helped a lot of people.
Wow.
If it's a special HUD house, not all HUD homes qualify, just the ones that they classify. You bid like the other people, and a lot of them need work. They help you with the 203K. But if you live in that house at least 3 years, you'll get 50% off.
Wow.
And I have helped a lot of teachers and a couple of police officers with that program. The problem is with some of this is you have to live in the area and serve the area that the house is in. But in a place like Los Angeles, where Los Angeles County is so huge, Jefferson County and Louisville, pretty big. Those homes are available to you. Now, there are a lot of stipulations, and it is a little hard work, but it's worth it in the end.
Wow.